right now.
Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN, an American holiday tradition.
Ah, 'tis the season where you're everywhere at once, and then it opens. A window to unwind from the rush. Some time to cherish and to cheer. And if you couldn't get there, stay here. With us, the Arizona State Sun Devils against the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. Bowl week across America rolls on. This holiday trip is for you. A festive air in downtown Phoenix for our Inside Bowl, a virtual home game for Arizona State. But for Rutgers, it's been 27 long years before they got back to a bowl game. And here come the Sun Devils. Arizona State, located in nearby Tempe, 6-5 out of the Pac-10, taking on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights from the Big East Conference. Coach Greg Schiano leading the Knights out onto the field here. And this telecast is available in high definition on ESPN HD, brought to you by Phillips. Happy holidays, everybody. With my partner, Gary Danielson, I'm Brent Musburger. You know, it's pretty easy to be cynical about all the bowl games, but let me tell you something. If you had watched this Rutgers team, the way they've enjoyed themselves, 27 long years since they've had this opportunity. And, Gary, they've got some wonderful players like their versatile fullback.
Sure do. Brian Leonard Brent is the best football player at fullback position I've seen all year because he does so many things. He runs, he leaps, he's fast, he blocks, and he's the leading receiver on the football team. He's a special football player, and he'll play at the next level.
All hands on deck for Rutgers. Arizona State puts up 500 yards of offense a game. Derek Hagan, the Pac-10's all-time leading receiver.
He's experienced, he's dependable, and he's precise. He's the quarterback's best friend. He shows up where you expect him, at the time you expect him. He is a phenomenal football player, and it will be very difficult for Rutgers to stop him.
And, folks, I got to ask my own quarterback about the two quarterbacks here tonight.
Well, there's such a contrast between these two guys, man. One's a freshman, one's a senior. Ryan Hart has been through everything for Rutgers. Rudy Carpenter didn't expect to play. He came in, but both guys have turned on the tapes and said, I can move the ball against this defense. That's going to make it fun.
Special treats in store for everybody. For example, Rutgers' #1 fan and an alum has found his way close to our Jackaroo. Jack?
Get us good seats?
Yeah, real close.
Yeah, I want to see everything.
I want to be part of the action. The excitement. We're close, right? Close. Real close. Whoa, we're right on the field? What did you have to do to get us these seats? Me? Nothing.
You can't get any closer than James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano as he's representing the special celebrity guest and a graduate of Rutgers. But ASU has brought along Jimmy Kimmel. He went to Rutgers. It's time for the toss of the coin. Let's go to our chief official, Joe Ryder. Joe?
Arizona State, please come in. Arizona State, you're the visitors here tonight. Who's going to speak for this team?
I am.
You are. Here's the coin. This is a head, inside bowl. This is a tail. Who's going to speak for this team? This is the coin. This is the head. This is the tail. Make your choice.
Tails.
Tails was called. It is a head. It is a head. Do you want your choice in the first half or second half?
I want the ball.
You want the ball. Which goal do you want to defend? You want to kick that way? Okay, white over here, red over here.
Notice that they didn't ask Tony Soprano to flip the coin, nor did they ask him to bring the Rutgers flag into this beautiful stadium. the recently named Chase Field, downtown Phoenix, Arizona, the home of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And for one night a year, it hosts college football. And this, the Inside Bowl, December 27, 2005, matching Arizona State and Rutgers. Arizona State kicking off, and we will see Rutgers receiving the opening kickoff. They'll go on the attack for the first time here tonight, and you just cannot overemphasize the amount of excitement.
Well, excitement in Rutgers, Brent, has been serious. They've come here to have fun, but they have worked extremely hard in practice all week. They want to show that they're ready to play in the big time. Greg Schiano has worked his team hard. They've had fun, and they are prepared.
Jesse Ainsworth, he handles all of the kicking chores for the Sun Devils. He was elevated to their top punter about midway through the season. Underway in Phoenix with the Inside Bowl. They'll take a knee and come out, and we'll meet the Scarlet Knight offense right now. And note the right guard, John Glass, number 76, all Big East this year. This is a tough, determined unit. The skill players, Sean Tucker is the speed man. If they want to get deep, they'll find number 4. And of course, Ryan Hart, whom Gary introduced you to, is the signal caller. Leonard, the fullback, Ray Rice, one of the best freshman running backs in the country. That's the Scarlet Knight attack. Under center for the first play of the game, the 6'2 senior Ryan Hart from Coral Springs, Florida. The H-back look, pounding straight ahead. Leonard steps off to the left and bangs to the 31-yard line against this Arizona State defense. Up front, Holyfield, Hill, Caldwell, and Darley on the outside. And Dale Robinson, the co-Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year. Josh Golden over there, number 23, draws a start at corner. He is a natural corner, has been playing some safety, as Gary pointed out in our discussion about these players last night. And Hart will go back in the shotgun, and Leonard, a superb receiver, is out far to the left. 5 receivers. Off a rush, they throw in underneath, complete. And a first down on the first series, Trez Moses.
Well, if you're going to look at the game plan for Rutgers to win this game, 2 things. They must run it so they can throw it. They have to be balanced, but they must run it first, and they must sack and pressure Arizona State. They lead the nation in sacks. They must harass the Arizona State quarterback tonight.
Oh, yeah, she said it was.
So the ball at the 42 for Rutgers, that constant shifting. Schiano at one time was an assistant coach with the Chicago Bears, has spent time in the NFL and down with the Miami Hurricanes. A defensive lineman move, there's your penalty flag. They pound back with that running game. So Ray Rice, the freshman from New Rochelle, New York, pounds behind the left side. There were many during the last week who believed that Rutgers could control the clock and the game with this running game. And they are doing just that. This game opened just up the road in Nevada with Arizona State favored by 13. At kickoff tonight, it had slipped to 8. That's the respect that Schiano and this Rutgers running game has in this contest.
If you look at the matchups, you can see it. Arizona State's offense, Rutgers defense. That's where Arizona State, to do it, they got to get the ball, though. That's the problem. Rutgers believes they can keep the ball by running it.
3 first downs, 3 plays for Rutgers. You can't get any more productive than that. The clock running. They're keeping it away from the explosive Sun Devil offense. Here's the end around, and he's got the corner for about 7 yards. Willie Foster came around and got the corner.
Ryan Hart, you can see it. He was benched this year, but he stayed ready. When he got his chance, he came back, produced, and he's starting this football game. He's been through it all. Started out 3-20 his first 2 years. Hung in there. You can see it. He owns all the records.
Play fake, and Hart is straight back. Now steps up in the pocket, fires complete. puts it right back in Trez Moses' hands. He averages 17 yards a catch. He's the all-time Rutgers reception leader. He now has 186 and 21 more yards.
Boy, these guys are doing it up front, and the reason they're doing it is because they've been able to run the ball, and now Arizona State says we have to at least be aware of the run, and now you can run those crossing routes behind. You give any quarterback time to throw to a guy like Trez Moses. They played together for 4 years. They know each other.
Leonard, the fullback, is in front of Rice. Rice, the freshman, slanted off. Did not really follow Leonard that time, and is out of bounds. Dale Robinson, the co-winner of the Pat Tillman Award that we mentioned earlier, and a tackling machine, takes him out of bounds.
Dale Robinson, 44. If you want to watch a tackling machine, as Brent said, this is the guy. He's an instinctual football player. Bill Miller, the defensive coordinator, said the one thing he did is moved him from the outside linebacker to the middle and gave him less responsibility and said, go make plays.
59% touchdowns for the Scarlet Knights. They have a superb tight end also. And they hit the back coming out. Dive for the pylon. And he's just out of bounds, short of the end zone on the first drive. Brian Leonard, we mentioned that he was a superb receiver, and there he was again.
You know, I've been racking my brains, Brent, to try to find who Brian Leonard reminds me of. He doesn't. He's fast, he catches the ball, he's athletic, he's tough, he's a leader. He's just a tremendous football player. He could play for anyone.
Now they line up in the full house and shift out of it, showing the power eye. They're going to throw. Touchdown, the tight end. Up firing to Clark Harris. First team all Big East. And folks, was that an impressive drive by an underdog? You bet.
Clark Harris, one of two great tight ends in this football game. Ryan Hart puts just enough touch on the pass, puts it up tall for his big 6'6" tight end. And how about that, Brent? Take the ball up with the flip and drive it right down the field against Arizona State.
Now here's something else, folks. Here's why the NFL is going to love him. He's bending over to long snap on this. Ito to attempt the extra point. Perfect snap. 7-0. The Scarlet Knights strike first. It's been 27 years. They've waited for this. But hang on, folks. This is going to get wild and woolly before it's over. An 80-yard clinic by Rutgers with the first drive of the game. Now, a couple things about Arizona State. Some local observers have said they're not ready for this bowl game. They wanted to finish higher in the Pac-10. They have not worked hard down here. They also have battled the flu. Now, in our conversation with Dirk Cutter, he says that's not true. He thought the practices were good once they got healthy.
I came down and watched one practice, and I thought they looked average, to be truthful, but it was an early practice. Talking to Dirk, he said it's not a problem. We practiced good enough. That is not an excuse, and he was not using the flu as an excuse either, was he?
No, he certainly wasn't. Now, overall, their defense was not ranked highly this year.
No.
They were 114th in the nation. And USC can tell you all about that defense in the second half as they overcame an 18-point deficit to the Sun Devils. Line drive. That'll come out on the 20-yard line. And now we will meet this Arizona State high-octane offense, topping 500 yards, 6 of 11 games, but it has been a patchwork offensive line. Only Carnahan is at the same spot as he was when the season opened. And you can see the skill player, Derek Hagan, Pac-10's all-time leading receiver. Rudy Carpenter, he'll pull the trigger tonight. Rudy Burgess will start at running back, but we will see a lot of Keegan Harry, the freshman. And there is Hagan, number 80. So you want to keep an eye on him, especially you fellas looking ahead to next year's fantasy draft. Who are those sleepers among the rookies? When you take Hagan, you'll get a look at him here tonight. Carpenter on first down. Fires over Hagan. Second down, 10. Defense for Rutgers. And this is a team That is very tough up front. Ryan Neal, major knee surgery, and does he ever come back? Pearson, Thompson, Lewis, the linebackers. And in that secondary, watch the corners. Roberson and Barnes, they'll be under fire all night long here from Rudy Carpenter. 2nd down and 10. They feature the H-back. That's always been a cutter nuance of his offense. Burgess pounds right straight ahead. So they can pass or run on 3rd down now. Gary, what about their game plan?
I've always felt all week looking at this game, for Arizona State to win, they must match the intensity of Rutgers. They must be physical. Dirk Cutter knows it. He knows that what his team has to do. They are billed as the fast team. They got to play fast. They just can't go through the motions. They must take advantage of their speed in this football game.
Matt Miller comes out wide to the left. 2 tight ends, and they are superb tight ends. Carpenter is going to throw, and now nobody open, takes off. Did he get the first down? He did. Is Carpenter a dangerous runner, Gary?
Yes.
How would you evaluate that?
That's part of his package that he brings here. He's a little better athlete than Sam was. We're talking about Sam Keller, the starting quarterback for the first 7 games. He does it a lot of different ways. He's kind of like, right now, kind of a poor man's Jake Plummer. That's the type of player he is right now.
Gary, what should we look for with the Arizona State attacker? They got a slot formation to the right.
Tight ends, slot backs, and crossing routes. They cross them all over the field.
Carpenter getting protection, and there it was. Got Matt Miller at the 45, 1st and 10. Geralt, the safety, was the defender.
What they're going to do is buy time by being able to keep this line and people in. They keep in H-backs, they keep in running backs. This time they send out 5 receivers. If Rutgers can't put pressure on Arizona State when they send out 5 guys, it's going to be a long night.
Now, has Rutgers faced any passer as good as this, or any attack, I guess?
Well, Louisville's pretty good,
yeah,
but the bad news is they put up 50 points or something like that, didn't they?
Exactly. Got on them pretty good. Here's Burgess. Steps through that hole to the where he is down. Tough hombres on this Rutgers team. They have featured the sack, and Gary had mentioned that after that Louisville debacle, they had 9 sacks against Cincinnati and 46 for the season. And like we told you, Greg Schiano, the head coach, is the defensive coordinator. He was a defensive specialist under Joe Paterno, and then down in Miami under Butch Davis.
Well, if you're going to feature the sack, your defensive ends, Ryan Neal right there, must win.
Carpenter straight back. Pocket held for him and reaching out toward the first down and got it. I thought he was going to give it up. And, Jack, I know you have spoken with the trainers and the folks around Arizona State. What about the flu that hit this team pretty hard?
Well, Brent, they're down to only 2 that are still 2 players that are still suffering some ill effects from the flu, but they are playing. But a week ago today, a total of 14 members of the team, a dozen of them were players, were out of practice because of the flu. It was to the point where they only had 2 running backs to be able to practice with, but they recovered well and they're not using it as any sort of excuse.
Yeah, they certainly didn't, Jack. And Carpenter's getting protection from the offensive lines, going for the touchdown. Got it! Wide open. 43 yards to Matt Miller.
We talked about the open, that both quarterbacks liked what they saw on tape. Now you know why I said that. When I talked to Rudy Carpenter, he said, Gary, I've never seen any defense simpler than this in an X and O's all year. I think I could throw the ball on him.
Now here's Ainsworth. We told you he handles all of the kicking for Arizona State. Chad Christensen, the backup quarterback, will put it down, and we're dead. Well, now we know one thing, Gary. Now we know why Schiano said the best attack is to hold on to the ball and not put it in Arizona State's hand.
You got it. They got to do it. They must run the ball.
Tied at 7 in the Inside Bowl in downtown Phoenix.
ESPN College Football, the Insight Bowl, is brought to you by Insight, provider of IT solutions for the way you work. Capital One. What's in your wallet? And in part by Pontiac. All the action of a game-changing performance at ESPN.com. Keyword Pontiac.
The start of a festive week here in the Valley of the Sun. Monday afternoon, they'll play for all the Tostitos. The Fiesta Bowl featuring one of the great matchups of the year, Ohio State and Notre Dame. Both teams have arrived here. They'll start working out tomorrow in preparing for Monday afternoon's game. Right now, we're at the Inside Bowl, which is owned by the Fiesta Bowl, and we're tied at 7. From the 5-yard line, this is Foster. Great speed. To the 26-yard line. Let's go back to the score.
Yeah, let's go. And here's the breakdown right here. Receiver's going to come back out. The corner thinks it's going to be a stall on the play. He squats. The receiver, Miller, runs right by him. But we have something we call little things here, right, Brent? I talked to Rudy Carpenter before the game. Watch, he takes 7 steps in his drop. He told me all year he's been doing 5 steps. He believes the 7 steps are going to allow him to get the receivers deeper and throw the ball downfield.
And Shiano's been counting to 5.
Exactly.
That's the way to crush those. Shiano will catch up with him here, folks. 4 wideouts now for Rutgers. They're going to set the screen. Another first down, 45, 50, 45. And down at the 36-yard line, Brian Leonard grew up outside Syracuse. The Orange hated to lose him to Rutgers. 38 yards.
Perfect call. The blitz is coming right off here. Robinson's right there, the little linebacker. You catch it. The blitz, both linebackers, Jamar Williams and Robinson coming, and then Leonard. Look at him. This guy is a hybrid. I'm telling you, he's smart, he's quick, and he runs a 4.45 40. Don't see many guys like that play fullback.
Oh, you sure don't. And when you see him hurdle, folks.
Exactly.
First down and 10. There's the toss to Rice. And Rice to the 30-yard line. And we asked Brian Leonard about his toughness.
My mom grew up on a farm her whole life, and my dad was in the Navy, and I was raised pretty tough. And you know, had bumps and bruises. I'd do some crazy stuff and hurt myself. And you know, the thing I got, you know, I'd laugh. I'd laugh if I ever got hurt. I was never the guy to cry. So I feel like I'm a pretty tough person.
And you think he can play on Sunday, big time?
Well, the bad thing for Greg Schiano is he might play sooner than he thinks. He's eligible last time I looked.
Second down and 5. Play fake. We get another first down with him. He's everywhere. Down the sideline. Touchdown, Rutgers. I thought they had him out of bounds on the far side. And like Houdini, he slipped free. That's 31 yards for Mr. Leonard.
Well, the 114th ranked Arizona State defense better start bringing it, because this was a lack of intensity on this play. A dump pass to the fullback, and you look at that. Look at Robinson stopped on the play. Dale Robinson, the leading tackler in the Big Ten, Pac-10, excuse me, stopped on the play. Thought Leonard was going to go out of bounds.
And we will have A.J. Hawk early enough.
Yeah,
on
right. A.J. Hawk don't stop, does he?
Hart 6 of 6, folks, on the game. 114 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's ready, isn't he? Ryan Hart is ready.
And Jeremy Ito, a sophomore from Redlands, California. 14-7. Just like they scored too quickly. They didn't get enough time off the clock.
This is
just kidding.
Listen, Arizona State defense needs to run to the football. This is just, you know, no defense can really make plays if you all turn around and watch a fullback run down the field. Dale Robinson turns it down, but if you had the wide picture there, the Arizona State defense just stops on the play. They think it's going to be a dump-off pass. There's just no intensity from this Arizona State Wildcat defense right now. They're just going through the motions, and I don't know if this Arizona State offense and Rudy Carpenter can score enough points.
Well, Jack Arute, I know you went down to New Brunswick. You visited Rutgers, and you had a nice conversation with Leonard. He's quite a young man.
Yeah, Brent, he's tough. He says, as you heard, that he's very tough, and he never cries. But maybe he learned how to run that way when he and his family, when he was 9 years old, visited Walt Disney World. He ran up to Mickey Mouse, stole his tie, and then took off through the Magic Kingdom. He eventually got caught and gave it back.
There's the young man from New York State. You know, Rutgers, you think of it. Some of our all-time favorite people have come from Rutgers. The late, great Jim Valvano was an alum of that school. There's a long-time columnist here from the Newark Star-Ledger, one of the underrated sports writers of all time. Jerry Eisenberg is here tonight. He, too, graduated from Rutgers. He was there back in 1978, 27 years ago. Remember in that game, Rutgers had a lead, and then Arizona State stormed back.
They did. And that was in New Jersey. Was that at the Giants Stadium back then? Yeah, that's back when I played. We didn't go to Bulls when I played.
Out from the 1-yard line is Burgess, the running back. Looking to bring it wide left. And he is out at the 31-yard line. So, folks, we're at the top of the hour. Gary Danielson, Jack Arute, and Brent Musburger. A pleasure to be coming to you on ESPN tonight. This, the Inside Bowl, just part of the Capital One Bowl Week. And we're off to a very exciting start here. The Scarlet Knights so excited. Arizona State favored. And, of course, right down the road is their school in nearby Tempe.
You know, I was just thinking, though, if you're Arizona State, this is like ho-hum. We've seen this all year. People score on us like this all the time. I mean, it's just normal situation for Dirk Cutter and his quarterback and offense.
Back with the running play, Keegan Herring, his first carry, and he is thrown down by Courtney Green, the safety.
Isn't this supposed to be a pitcher's park here? It's a lot of offense going on in this play, isn't it?
Notice that they left the roof
There's the foul pole
wide
right
open
there, right?
for them
That's
to bring the flags in.
Yeah.
Right? And then they closed it. A couple of years ago, they left it open for the Inside Bowl, I was told, and the field got very slippery this time of year. So last year when Notre Dame lost to Oregon State, they had closed it during the game, and that's what they're doing here tonight. Well, Capital One Bowl Week continues with 2 more games. And remember the game day special, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Then Boise State, Boston College. Can Boston go west and win a game? Then the MasterCard Alamo Bowl, Michigan and Nebraska, 2 of the great traditions at 8 p.m. Eastern time here on ESPN HD. 3rd down and 1 coming up for the Sun Devils, Gary.
Well, one thing Dirk Cutter told me is he felt watching tape that no one's really tried to run the counter against Rutgers. He said tonight I'm going to feature it, but I haven't seen it yet. I've been looking for the counter. Maybe the way his defense is playing, he doesn't want to start it up yet.
Preston Jones, the 3rd running back, checks in on 3rd and 1. The power back looking for the first down. Got it easily. And put it down. Fumble. And it has been recovered by Rutgers. The game's first turnover on the first carry of the night by the sophomore from East Lansing, Michigan. Looking for a yard, and Ramel Meekins pounces on the fumble.
It was a good hit from the secondary that time. I'm not sure who got it. It was Courtney Green. Came up, put a good helmet right on that football. They had the first down, but the first turnover of the game goes to Rutgers.
And now can they take a 2-touchdown advantage? Arizona State has not been able to find an answer for number 23. Fullback Brian Leonard as a runner. He's got the edge. He's pounded behind the tackles, and he's broken free as a receiver. Ryan Hart off to a superb start. Perfect on his 6 throws here tonight. Gary, he's out to prove something tonight, the senior.
And you know what's really tough for Arizona State? He's not even had a tough throw yet. They've been wide open.
Running the toss play, and here's Rice. Can he get the edge? And that time, the Sun Devils were a little more aggressive. Mike Davis Jr. In case you missed it, Hart on the first drive went to his tight end. Then Arizona State answered. And then the 3rd touchdown, Leonard, 31-yard catch and run down the far sideline. And now after the game's first turnover, Rutgers back at it in Arizona State territory. This is 2nd down from the 43-yard line.
Both wide receivers are shifting out of the backfield. A package put in during bowl preparation.
Middle, first down at the 20-yard line, under pressure, and back to Clark Harris, who caught that touchdown pass earlier. Ryan Hart showed courage in the pocket that time.
Sure did. I thought it was going to cave in, but there was enough room for him to move up in the pocket. And then you just look down, and Clark Harris, one of those breed of tight ends. I tell you, the game is changing. The tight end position is coming back. You look at the NFL, college football, you're seeing more and more of these coaches liking the matchup of the tight end against linebackers and safeties.
First down and 10. A flag and a whistle. And then we're going to get the signal here quickly from Joe Ryder.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 76 on the offense. 5 yards, complete first
Now,
down.
Ryan Hart, we asked him about his strengths, and here's what the quarterback said.
I can run an offense, especially this offense. It's my 3.5 years starting, and my 3rd year in this offense, and I can run this offense pretty well. I'm a leader. I understand the game situations very well. I'm a pretty accurate quarterback, so when it comes down to crunch time, I'm the guy for the job.
You know, it was interesting yesterday. It's been a long time since I've seen a starting quarterback play touch football with some of the linemen out here for about 30 hard minutes. It was very interesting to watch Rutgers. The penalty makes it 1st and 15. Leonard somehow comes out of the pile. Wow, what a performance so far by junior Brian Leonard.
By far the best fullback and hybrid back I've seen all year. It looked like he tweaked something on this, though. It looked like he got hurt just a little bit, but in the hole, he jumped. He jumped to the right, jumped to the left, kept both feet on the ground, and then exploded when he saw his little crease.
Now from the end zone, Leonard constantly shifting, giving that H-back look, a superb receiver. They run Rice, they counter back with him, Gary, inside the 10-yard line, and we check in down below with Jack Arute.
Well, when you notice that Ryan Hart was talking about his leadership abilities, he said in 3.5 years. Both you guys upstairs know that during midseason, he was replaced by Mike Teal, and then he won the job back when Teal went down to injury. One of the things that happened when he was replaced, he received a phone call from Archie Manning. Archie told him to keep his chin up, continue to do what he does well. He had met the Manning family when he attended Archie, Peyton, and their quarterback camp earlier this summer.
And Jackie obviously picked up some things that have helped him. It's a spirited rivalry. Both Hart and Mike Teal think they should be starting. They've gone with the veteran here tonight. Short fade to the corner. Incomplete. And he was aiming at Moses that time. Trez Moses. Mike Davis was the defender. There's Teal over on the sideline. Both, as Gary pointed out, bothered with the shoulder injuries. But should anything go awry here tonight, we will see the young man on the field.
Yeah. Right now, Mike Teal, you just have another Gatorade. He's 7 for 8. I thought Moses lost that ball in the lights or something. He ran right by that ball. I thought he could have stopped and maybe jumped toward it. He didn't even see it. I think he didn't even see on that fade pass.
Lose the lights at a baseball stadium?
Oh, does that happen? I don't know. I was down.
Second down and goal. We're on the toss now with Rice. And he sort of slipped on the cut, didn't he?
Yep.
As he was forced back on the inside. Jamar Williams, the linebacker, was there. And there's a look at the lights.
Yeah, they were coming right over the third base side. See that? That's the angle that the ball was coming right there. I don't know. It just seemed to me like he didn't see the football, ran right by it.
Amazing for my quarterback to bail out a wide receiver.
Somebody watching this football game from Syracuse is going, wait a second. Leonard and Ray Rice both wanted to go to Syracuse and change their mind and went to Rutgers. Used to happen the other way around.
I believe when Paul Pasqualoni was let go, Rice withdrew his commitment, and that's how he wound up with Greg Schiano. We've got a timeout, the Inside Bowl. Gary, interesting play, and Clark Harris is over on the left side and now shifting, and they put him back down over there. On third and goal, to the middle, high, Moses, incomplete. Trez Moses, the intended receiver, Mike Davis with coverage.
Mike Davis had pretty good coverage, but I think Trez Moses could have used his body and made the catch. Little false start by Moses. Now he's got it. He should use his body, shield this thing, and catch this football. That's a drop. That was a touchdown right there.
Yep, should have had it.
Yep. Well, could have had it. You know, I mean, one of those ones where you like to make that play when you're a senior in a big bowl game against a high-scoring team in the Pac-10, Arizona State. Anthony
Callie is the holder for Jeremy Ito. A 25-yard field goal. This to put Rutgers up by 10. The underdog is howling early, folks. 17-7. Rutgers leads favored Arizona State. Now there's James Gandolfini, better known to millions as Tony Soprano, an alum of Rutgers. They brought him aboard to do some promos to sell tickets, and he is thoroughly enjoying himself here tonight, and the fans love having him here too. His alma mater's up 17-7, leading it by 10, 5:22 to go in the opening quarter. Mike Cortese is the kickoff man. Burgess, the running back. He returned the last one. He's back there with Richardson. And Richardson made the All-Pac-10 team as their return man this year. They are kicking away from him, so Richardson went and got it, bobbled it in the end zone, takes a knee, it'll come out the 20-yard line. Well, we mentioned Ohio State arriving here yesterday and starting preparations for the Fiesta Bowl appearance against the Fighting Irish. And Gary Danielson, you thought this was the play of the year for the Buckeyes.
Absolutely. Down on the road to Michigan. Blitz package right there, and Troy Smith makes the $14 million play for the Buckeyes.
So the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, January 2nd now. That is the Rose Bowl window, if you will, 4:30 Eastern. The NFL will conclude its season on January 1st. The Bowls take over on the 2nd. And on the 4th, of course, the granddaddy. Texas and USC for everything. 5:18 to go. You talk about tickets, folks, and how scarce they are. I cannot remember a bowl season in which there were two games like Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Texas, USC, with the demand like it is for tickets. Many of you have been up on eBay. You should just kind of check it out tonight. When you're looking for scores, you'll just shake your head when you see the prices. Well, it makes you want to call my friend Mike Tice. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding, folks. 2nd down and 10. Pocket holes, but there's no receiver. At the 25-yard line, Rudy Carpenter is forced to take off. And you tune into that Rose Bowl game with Keith and Dan Fouts to find out the Pontiac game-changing performance of the year. Vote now at ESPN.com. Search Pontiac. The winning school will receive a $100,000 contribution toward their general scholarship fund from Pontiac. One of the game-changing performances you just saw, Gary was talking about, that Ohio State-Michigan game. And so someone's going to get $100,000 from Santa. Game-changing performance of the year. Boy, you go to USC. How about that 4th down pass from Leinart against the Irish? Was that big? 3rd down and 4. Deflected. And 4th down is coming up.
Tried to run a rub off that time. A little pick pass. Tight end was trying to pick for the wide receiver and did not make it. Matt Miller could not get inside, and I think it was Derek Robinson did a nice job of getting inside that play and not allowing that little pick pass to be completed.
Ainsworth punting. That was his season average. The speedster, Willie Foster, back deep for the Knights. Fair catch. And he's going to let it go. Wise decision. Did not gamble on the lights, and it's down just a bit inside the 25-yard line. Well, we've talked about the Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN and the great matchups, and of course at 4:30 p.m. Eastern they'll run down. Then it's Georgia Tech, Utah, the Emerald Bowl on ESPN, and how about the Pacific Life Holiday Bowl? Oregon and Oklahoma. That should be a fascinating game. Do you think Oregon is be like California? They're down about not getting to a BCS bowl?
You know, that happened last year, didn't it? But it's a little different team, I think. You know, last year Texas Tech kind of snuck up on Oregon. But I think this time, when you're playing Oklahoma, you'll be ready to play.
So Schiano's Scarlet Knights go back on the attack, leading it by 10. And that time, stoned at the 20-yard line. Dwayne Holyfield makes the best defensive play of the game so far for the Sun Devils.
That had to be a mix-up in run blocking that time, because John Glass was actually blocking Holyfield right into the ball carrier. That just didn't look right, a discombobulation, and it cost him.
You know, way back in the 70s, I said on the NFL Today that Rutgers would not make it until they changed their name to the University of New Jersey.
Yeah. Well, I'll bet a lot of people don't even know they're in New Jersey.
I know, they don't. And it is the state university and a fine school. A lot of folks have said to me, is that an Ivy League school because of the name Rutgers? But it's a great institution. A lot of good football players have come out of that state, and whistle on the play. Prior to the snap, there was flag. A delay of game is going to be our call.
5 yards, still second down.
Well, we asked Greg Schiano about coaching in New Jersey, and here's what he said.
This is my home. You know, New Jersey's where I grew up, and I don't think unless you're from here, you realize really what's here. It's an opportunity to give the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area a college football team of their own. They've never had that.
You know, right man for the job. He was young. He was on the staff down in Miami. Ironically, when Butch Davis left, he probably would have been the head coach ahead of Larry Coker. But he's extremely happy here at Rutgers. There you can see the youngest. And he's still the third youngest, and this is the 5th year of his plan. Second down. And short of the original line of scrimmage, Kyle Caldwell making the play. Good stand here, Jack, by the Sun Devil defense.
And you know, Brent, there's an entire state in New Jersey that's upset with you now, calling for Rutgers to be named the University of New Jersey.
So what else
Let's take a look at the collegiate tale of the tape for Rutgers University with their 3 locations. They were first called Queens College. Their first players were called the Queensmen. But here's the thing. We heard about James Gandolfini being one of their top alums. How about Queen Latifah? Now she can get it on.
Third down. I'll take your word for it, Jack. Third down and 15. Short of the first down. Foster, the receiver that time. And Hart has been on the money. He threaded that one.
Sure is. No pressure on Ryan Hart. And right now he says, I like throwing in the Pac-10. No wonder all these guys in the Pac-10 put up all these yards. Remember, Drew Olson put up 295-yard passing, Brent, against Arizona State in first quarter in 3 minutes of the football game.
That time the Sun Devils stopped him.
Yeah, ended up for 500 yards in the game.
Radigan, the punter. Richardson will get a shot here at this punt. Whoa, beautiful punt. Richardson's driven back inside the 10-yard line. He out-punted his coverage. Got past the gunner and brought it back, and there's a penalty flag going to be tacked on, I believe. The umpire right there in the middle of it. George Burton came down the field and threw his flag right at the spot where he was tackled. 21-yard return. Oh, it is going to go the other way.
Yep. Terry Richardson, so dangerous. He had a 71-yard punt return against Arizona to really get Arizona State into this football game.
During the return, 10 yards from the flag, first down.
Greg Schiano, the defensive coordinator. You know, Pete Carroll does it at USC. You know, Charlie Weiss is the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. Dirk Cutter is the offensive coordinator here at Arizona State. And this guy right here, Greg Schiano, is the defensive coordinator. Let's watch. Let's match it up right here. Cutter's calling the plays and Schiano's calling the defenses. You're going to get a little reaction from this. It's like basketball. It's like doing basketball with you. Watch.
Carpenter's got an open receiver. Hagan. caught it just shy of midfield. Derek Hagan, number 80. 1,000-yard receiver. He's caught 8 touchdown passes this year. The Pac-10's all-time best. And Gary, you project him as a first-rounder.
Oh, yeah. He's 10 to 15, I think, in that area. He's like a Rod Smith, the Denver receiver. Dependable, precise. He's quarterback's best friend. He will be where you think he's going to be at the time you think he is. Did you see Schiano point out that play? He knew it was coming, and he was upset with his secondary. They busted a coverage.
Carpenter's throwing for 97 yards. Steps up in the pocket. High and pulled down at the 22-yard line by Jamal Lewis. Look at Coach going down that sideline, huh?
Oh, man.
Oh, they got a penalty flag. He says, bring it back.
Yep.
Bring it on back.
He's got the clipboard dangling. He's upset. Too much time for Carpenter. He's taking a 7-step drop. He's walking in. You see Schiano right there. He's telling Geralt.
Number 73 on the offense. 10 yards from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
Geralt back there, 43, is the safety that is making the mistake, at least in Schiano's mind. And boy, Schiano's going to lose about 10 pounds in this series right here. Called holding on 73. Is there a substitute in there? Because I don't see a 73 on the field. There must be a backup in the game already. It's an offensive line that's had 9 different starting lineups.
First down and 20 after the penalty. And Herring goes nowhere. The 5'10 freshman, because Courtney Green, the other safety, comes up to make the stop.
Yeah, Green's another freshman too. Went to the same. He's another freshman, just like Ray Rice is. Came to this football team. Both true freshmen. That time, the Rutgers defensive line won. They made penetration, and that was why the play was made by the safety.
So the inside ball at the end of the first quarter. Underdog Rutgers 17. Arizona State of the Pac-10 7. Happy holidays, everybody. You take 2 teams from opposite ends of the country. Rutgers for the Big East, Arizona State for the Pac-10. They don't know a lot about each other. And what do you wind up with? A very entertaining first quarter. And we start the second quarter. It'll be second down and long. The Sun Devils were hit with that penalty late in the first quarter. So it is certainly not 1st and 10, folks. Second and forever. Caught by Higgins, and this will make it 3rd down, and I would say about 6-7, right, somewhere right in there. Gary, you don't seem to be surprised about what's happening in this game.
No, you talked to both quarterbacks. They knew they could throw the football. I'm a little surprised that Arizona State has really not matched intensity on the offense and defensive line. I mean, they know they can throw the ball, but can they play the physical game? I still think that's the key.
There must be something to that story that they really wanted to play in a bigger bowl than staying at home, because like Gary pointed out, they have been flat so far in this football game, but there's a long, long way to go. One thing we've learned about bowl games, folks, there's a couple of games.
Yeah,
there's always a long halftime.
And they keep going, and Arizona State is used to this. They come from behind. They play to get big football games. They've been way up, and they've been way down, and they've handled it in both situations.
And, Jack, what's the injury situation down below?
Well, let's give you the update on Keegan Herring. You remember he left the game for a little while, but he is okay and has been cleared to play. But problems for the offensive line for Arizona State continue. Remember, they've used 9 different players for their line. We'll add Steve Berg back to the injured list. He's trying to walk off an ankle injury. They're still trying to evaluate it. How bad have the injuries been? Of all the players that have been injured, they all live in the same house. It got so bad this year that even the dog broke its leg during the season.
Now that's when it's getting bad. Poor Hound. 3rd down and 8 for Carpenter in the attack. Leslie Jackman has checked in as one of the defensive backs. He's going to try Hagan. Incomplete, and Arizona State forced the punt. Cutter thinks there was a foul on that far side.
Timing pass that wasn't there. Now here's Ryan Neal. If you're doing a good job, you're going to draw coverage. See, that's a good job. When they got to put two guys on you and Rod has to hold you, they didn't call, but they go with two guys on you, then you open it up for your teammates. That's what Ryan Neal has to do in this football game.
Ainsworth, Foster to return it. Fair catch, Burgess. Time for a 30-30 Sports Center update. Let's check in with Reese Davis. Reese?
All right, Brent. Tony Dungy called his son a good young man with a compassionate heart. At a funeral service today in Florida, Dungy and scores of friends and family say goodbye to James Dungy, who died of an apparent suicide last week. Colts team and several NFL stars were there. Sports Center's coming up after the game. ESPN News, always on.
Reese, thank you very much, and of course the entire sports world, our prayers and thoughts go out to one of the classiest families in all of sports. And those of us who had the pleasure of knowing Tony Dungy as a player, an assistant coach, a head coach, there's not a finer gentleman, folks, in the world of sport. First down now for Rutgers. Incomplete, and reaching for that one was Clark Harris, the tight end.
Yeah, he tried to do it one-handed, though, Brent. I think if he'd have got up with two hands on this one, see, he tapped himself on his own shirt right there. I think he could have gone up two hands and made this catch. It looked to me like Dale Robinson grabbed him a little bit, and then Clark Harris, a wonderful receiving tight end, misjudged it, thought he had to go with one hand. Watch him go up with one hand right here. I think he could have got this ball. Maybe I'm being a little critical. Well, he's mad at himself. All right, GD.
Right. Second down and 10. I'm back with the running play. Down at the 14-yard line.
Did we really have to show that replay to me? I had such a good,
you know what it reminds me of?
Right
when the player hits him and he says it's my fault? Reminds me of the Dan Fouts story. He never wanted to show up a lineman in San Diego, so he'd walk off the field, my fault, and he'd be saying to him, why did you hold on that play? The crowd would never know that he was picking on somebody else.
And that's an important thing for a quarterback to remember. The other players do not want you to show them up. And I thought Clark Harris did a good job there.
Cruz steps in. We got a timeout, Rutgers. 3rd and 4 coming up. Rutgers wants to talk about it here. Time running down. Shiano's got his game face on, folks.
People everywhere are experiencing a breakthrough. Fullness from a value menu.
No one's going anywhere until you tell me who's full. Me too.
New to the Big Bell Value Menu. The half-pound cheesy bean and rice burrito. Loaded with 3 cheeses, fiesta salsa.
And Brian Leonard's over there on the sideline.
Absolutely. Last 3 series, there's been no Brian Leonard.
They're going to try to run Rice on the toss. And battles for that first down. Tough run by the freshman.
Well, he is a good football player, Ray Rice, excuse me. He's a little bit like a Mike Hart from Michigan, who used to be known Michael. Now he's Mike Hart. They keep changing on me. But Rice is physical, he's fast, and he's smart runner. He falls forward, and he's got great balance. But I think, don't you think Brian Leonard, those little passes out in the flat? I mean, what? I wonder, remember I said it looked like he got nicked a little bit on that one run?
You wonder.
I wonder if he's a little bit nicked.
You wonder a little bit. First down and 10. Back with the freshman.
Oh, I like him.
Oh, good-looking runner. Another first down. Yep. And a lot of Rutgers fans here for this one, Jack.
Well, Brent, one of the reasons why is because they developed a fund to help students like Safet Markey by giving them up to $300 for travel. But Safet, you got on a bus 67 hours ago, a 62-hour drive on a bus to get here at 1 o'clock this afternoon.
Yep, it was a wonderful experience. I actually enjoyed it. And I'm glad that I'm here. It was worth it, like, every single minute. So I thank Rutgers for giving me the funds to come out here today.
And you like the fact that your team's up?
Oh, definitely. They're kicking some butt.
Now, what they did is they designed a fund to try and help students because all of the cheap airline tickets, Brent, were scarfed up as soon as it was announced that they were going to bowl game. But I wanted to let you know, Safet is heading back to New Brunswick at 3 o'clock this evening. He's invited you and Gary to ride on the bus with him. 62 hours, you'll be back for the Fiesta Bowl.
I don't know if I can make it back for that game, Jack. Otherwise, I'd go with the young man. I'd go back to New Brunswick. It's first down in 10. A great story was in the Newark Star-Ledger about you folks up there, you Rutgers fans. Do you remember Greasy Tony's? Used to be at Easton and Somerset in New Brunswick. Do you remember back in the old days? There's some of you old timers now. And after this play, we'll talk some more about Greasy Tony's and its significance in this game. Bouncing is Ryan to the right on the move. And this will be second down and short. Anyway, that was a restaurant there for years, and because of eminent domain, Tony Giorgigiani was forced out. He's now 75 years old. And folks, he moved Greasy Tony's Steakhouse to Tempe, Arizona, very close to Arizona State. And the Rutgers, the knowledgeable Rutgers fan base, they have been hanging out down there. And the paper, the Arizona Republic, once rated it one of the top 10 late-night restaurants in this area. So we might want to get a
You didn't bring this up because we get a free sandwich there, do we? Are we headed to Greasy Tony's? There's Leonard right there.
Yeah, Leonard's back in the game. And here's Rice and more. The freshman powering his way in this game. All right. We've got a penalty flag.
Yeah, it's going to be a backside hold on Rutgers, it looked to me. Oh, block. A clip below the waist right there. Backside away from the play.
So that nice run by the freshman will come back.
Right there, you can see it, the receiver coming right back right there. Oh, wow. Yep, got him from behind. It was Stapleton, it looked like, number 53, that got the guy right from behind, threw on him, and they called it.
Well, folks, how about you can't be surprised about the Aflac trivia question. Who was Arizona State's starting quarterback the last and only time these teams met? The Garden State Bowl. 27 years ago. The now defunct Garden State Bowl in Giants Stadium. Who was the ASU quarterback? Second down, 18. Here's Ryan, complete, short of the first down. The 40-yard line, Moses that time, and Manutai with the tackle.
I just can't get over how simple it is. I mean, there hasn't even been two hard throws for Ryan Hart in this football game. I don't know. Arizona State doesn't look like they're putting pressure on the quarterback. They're not covering anybody in the zones. They're not playing very well in man-to-man coverage. If Rutgers doesn't stop themselves with penalties, Arizona State looks helpless.
Third down and 3. Trying a little linebacker blitz this time. Picked up throwing for the first down, just shy of midfield. And Willie Foster with another catch for Hart. I mean, he's putting up some numbers here in the first half.
Yeah, he's putting up Navy numbers. That was the game he came back. He went 18 for 21 for 221 against Navy in his start after he was benched. He's on his way to one of those games. Nobody in his face, steps into it, throws a really nice football. Now, Ryan Hart was recruited by a lot of teams, including Purdue. He bought Greg Schiano's pitch, came here and suffered, and now he gets to play in this great football game.
Pounding the middle. That young man, Tony Rice, is going to be a fine running back.
Yeah, Ray Rice is a fall-down forward speed back, and he's much bigger than you'd think. His calves are big. You know, I thought he was going to be a quicker guy until I saw him in person. He's actually bigger than Mike Hart at Michigan, and looks just as quick, and he's got great balance. He's a 4-year starter at tailback for Rutgers.
Out of New Rochelle, New York. He finished 5th among all freshman running backs in the country. So he was up there with some fine company on second down and 1. The toss, and he's stoned. Put it down. Arizona State jumps on the loose ball.
Now that's physical football, and Jamar Williams finally made a play. If you don't match the intensity of Rutgers and play physical football, you can't play. Now watch Jamar Williams, number 4. He beats the block, and he hits Ray, and he says, now this is the way you play football, and that popped it loose. That may wake up this defense.
And it was recovered by Kyle Caldwell after Williams delivered the blow. He's a very active linebacker, and they'll take a review, and they will take a look at this. This, of course, is the college model, and it is a advisor replay official upstairs. The replay is being wound back and forth. I did not think there was a chance the leg was down. I thought the ball was easily out, and no question.
They may be
it's
reviewing.
Going to be Arizona State football.
He knocked him out on the play also, because that was a picture-perfect tackle. That was now. I think the Arizona State defense now has to say, this is the way we got to play if we want to play with these guys.
After review, play stance is called on the field. It was a fumble, first down.
You know, Gary, I found it interesting in our meeting with Schiano, because you asked him what we were thinking.
Yeah.
And what about speed? Because we all thought Arizona State had to be a much faster team. And right away, Schiano said, we're always fast because we recruited using the Miami model. We're not concerned about that. We are concerned about overall athletic ability.
Out of the last 107 recruits that Greg Schiano has brought to Rutgers, 53 from New Jersey, 33 from Florida.
Yeah, he knew how to recruit down there. He was on the staff. And Herring, the running back, with a huge hole. And it's a first down at the 44-yard line. Green comes up. And again, a reminder, the Capital One Bowl Week rolls along here on ESPN. If you're a college football fan, it doesn't get any better than the next 8 or so days. Michigan, Nebraska, the MasterCard Alamo Bowl, Wednesday at 8 o'clock. 2 grand programs. And that'll be a fascinating matchup between the Wolverines and the Cornhuskers in that game.
Here's Hagan down here. He has had his way every time he's had the ball thrown to him.
Herring. And they're gashing some holes in that defensive front right now. Gary, what's going on?
I like what Dirk Cutter's doing right here. He's kind of sensing, I think, what I'm saying, at least I hope, is that his team is not matching the intensity of Rutgers. So he says the way to do that is to run the football and just kind of build up that heat in his football team. Then he can throw it deep, and you can see what Dirk has done. Everywhere he's been, he's produced quarterbacks. 7 quarterbacks have played in the NFL that Dirk Cutter has touched throughout his course. That's Sam Keller, by the way, standing right next to Dirk Cutter, the starting quarterback at the beginning of the year.
Sam's daddy was a fine player at Michigan, and last year Sam Keller came on and he defeated Purdue in the bowl game, a comeback in the 4th quarter, and Sam Keller was rolling along this year until the injury, and Dirk is going to come out now and talk to the offense. Again, he's the mastermind behind the offense. Schiano, of course, running the defense on the far side. Here's 3rd down for Arizona State, 160 total yards, and for Rutgers, 272. Carpenter on that deep drop. There's a penalty flag, incomplete. Holding against ASU. So we've got a holding penalty here.
Only a 3-man rush. You can look at the outside. There's Ryan Neal. He gets inside Chaz White. There's the clear hold, and that's what Ryan Neal has to do. Make plays, force plays.
Now let's check in down below with Jack, Gary.
Well, Gary, you're talking about the need for this team, the ASU Sun Devils, to get tougher. That was the message all week. Remember, Dirk Cutter told us. He challenged his team. He said, you know, a lot of people say Rutgers is tougher. And he said, guys, you got to go out there and prove them wrong. We'll have to wait and see if the message was delivered properly.
And Jack, he just called a timeout because the penalty was declined, forcing an Arizona State punt. And he wants to talk about it here with 7:43 to go.
ESPN College Football, the Insight Bowl, is brought to you by Insight, provider of IT solutions for the way you work. And in part by Ford F-150, built Ford tough. And Aflac, Ask about it at work.
A team that is only 2 of 5 on third downs has decided to go on fourth down. Carpenter, and it's picked off on the far side. Hold on now. Roberson was the defender. He picked it off, but there's a penalty flag. Carpenter is down.
It's going to be roughing the passer on Ryan Miller. It's going to be roughing the passer on Rudy Carpenter on that play.
First down.
I'll tell you, Ryan Miller worked his way through 2 players to get to Carpenter on this. Watch Ryan Miller. One, throws him off, gets in there. Oh, gee.
And Neal is the one who's going to take the penalty.
Ryan Neal, I'll tell you, that's a questionable one. He wrapped him up. Well, what are you going to do?
I think when you wrap him up, Gary, I would agree with the call that you got to protect him in this.
Well, you got a high motor guy right there.
Ball was gone.
Yeah.
What do we think about that up here? Everybody kind of, you know.
Well, I'll tell you, if I'm Greg Schiano, I say, guys, keep playing the same way.
Whatever.
You know, you know, it's one of those calls. You're going to make it. You got to live with it if you're Greg Schiano.
I don't want to ask Tony Soprano how he's doing.
I'll tell you that's a huge play, though, in this football game, isn't it?
It is. First down and 10. Fourth down. They had an interception on the far side. They would have had the ball at midfield. Instead, the Sun Devils are at the Rutgers 25, and there's Higgins with that great body. He just shields off the defensive back, makes the catch at the 5-yard line. Corey Barnes had no chance.
Yeah, see, that's what I think that Hagan can do in the NFL. He's a big receiver and smart. I kind of liken him to Rod Smith at Denver. He goes up, now watch him protect the ball exactly like you say and catch it with his body. Now, Michael Irvin really preaches that. He says when you're in traffic, use your third hand. Catch it with your chest and your 2 hands. I totally believe in that.
Burgess is the running back. Counter step, and he is stopped short of the end zone. Lewis among the Scarlet Knights in there defensively.
I think Rudy Burgess isn't a kind of a go-to guy. In the last 4 games for Arizona State, Rudy Burgess has caught 38 passes and run 74 times. That means he's touched the ball over 100 times in the last 4 games. 25 touches a game for number 3.
He's still right in there, Gary.
Yep.
That familiar H-back look of Dirk Cutter's offense. Looking, corner, incomplete. ASU wanted a penalty flag on that play. Green, the safety, had coverage over there in the corner.
Rudy would like this one back. Watch Miller goes here. Tight end goes there. He should have thrown the ball to the flat. Watch how open Miller is. Throw the ball to the flat and you got a touchdown right there. There's the touchdown. Here's the forced throw right there. Rudy forced to throw. He had a touchdown in the corner.
Yes. All right.
Third down and goal. Carpenter can't find an open receiver. Now underneath, and it's incomplete. So a decision for Cutter. He has a fourth down from the 3-yard line, and he does not hesitate. The field goal team is on the field here. He obviously wants to make it a 10. He's not going to second guess himself, I don't think, on this decision either.
He's got a field goal kicker who really, this is going to be an extra point. And Esmers has not missed an extra point all year, so I think this is a sure 3 points. You got to make it a 7-point game. I agree.
So it's a 21-yard attempt. Christensen will put it down for Ainsworth, and there it is. Back to 10. 17-10. It's back to 7. I should say. Cut it to 7 points. And we'll take a break.
Isn't it time for a more
Playing this bowl is like a dream come true because, you know, it's been a dream of all of ours since we got here.
And no one has enjoyed a bowl game any more than this Rutgers team. They've waited 27 years. Moses, 3 catches for 40 7 yards, averaging better than 15 a reception here. Rutgers to get it back, and that penalty, who knows what's in store. It could be a big swing in this game. Nullifying the interception and allowed Arizona State to march down for a field goal, which reduced the margin to 7. Ainsworth, who handles all the kicking duties for the Sun Devils, has the ball on the tee. This one will come out on the 20-yard line. All right, the Aflac question earlier tonight. Who was Arizona State's quarterback the last time these teams met? All right, it was Mark Malone, who was the quarterback of the Garden State Bowl, the winning quarterback that day. Worked several years for ESPN. There's Mark as a Sun Devil. Now he's up at my alma mater, WBBM in Chicago. He's on the air in the Windy City, and he's probably enjoying the success of the White Sox, and now the Chicago Bears are going to the playoffs, and doesn't get any better than that in the Windy City. And incomplete. 2nd down and 10. Now let's take you back to that 78 game. And I want you to watch Mark Malone. He threw for 268 yards and 3 touchdowns, rushed for 2 more. But folks, John Missler had 7 catches for 148 yards and was named the game's MVP. That's a little grainy back in those days. Now, there's the that'll tell you about the game. Rutgers was up 10-0, and then Arizona State came back by Mark Malone.
They've been up 10 in this game too. Is this eerily similar?
Yeah, exactly. There is young Rice battling for 9 yards. I can truthfully say that they did not have HD.
No. That was a high camera. They had an HC right there. That was a high one with a high camera. Rice, who had the fumble on the big hit by Williams, they come right back to him. I think that's good strategy by Rutgers to get him going off again.
Brian Leonard started out like a house of fire, ran for 20 yards, caught 3 passes for 81 yards and a touchdown. He's the fullback, and he'll frequently shift out into a slot or an H-back, come in motion, lead. Rice, there he is, the lead blocker, and he got one. Opened away, and it's 1st down, Rutgers. Good-looking running game,
Yeah, you know what? He is smart, too. You see on Rice, he kind of paused when he got the ball. Watch him get it, pause right there, and then take it. Kind of lets it happen. He's not anxious, kind of stops, and then finds it. He runs right behind Leonard. Leonard makes a great block.
Makes you wonder about Arizona State opening up a 21-3 lead on USC at the half in that game, and then could not protect that lead against the Trojans.
264 second-half rushing yards by USC.
Stepping away from pressure and firing for a 1st down into Sun Devil territory at the 46-yard line. And Moses, whom you just heard from, with his 4th catch of the night. He's now the leading receiver.
Ryan Hart's having himself a nice bowl game here. His footwork all night has been really, really right on. He's feeling the pressure, keeping his eyes downfield and leading his receivers over the middle. He's just having a real breakout football game for him. Nice way to end a career.
You can see why Schiano's contract was extended and renewed by Rutgers. And the freshman hit in the backfield. We've come to the top of the hour here at the Inside Bowl. Chase Field, Phoenix, Arizona, used to be known as the Bob, the home of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And tonight, the home of the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers, their first bowl game in 27 years. And Arizona State, meanwhile, traveling less than 10 miles to arrive here in the play. They're home away from home. Many of the youngsters had not been here. Others had come down to watch Diamondback baseball games. And so it was a treat to them to be on the field yesterday in practice. 2nd down and 11. Stepping away from pressure. Hitting right. And he's up into just shy of the 20-yard line. Ray Rice showing that he's a good receiver, too.
I tell you, I really like this guy. Watch Ryan Hardy slips as he goes back. Leonard is going to go out to the right. Little play-action pass. You know you got your check down. There's your check down if you get in trouble. Hits him, runs right through a sloppy tackle by Arizona State. Now watch him fall forward. Goes forward and makes a great play at the end of it. Rice showing he can run and catch the football and knows where he's at all times.
Ryan Hart, the senior from Florida, has now thrown for better than 200 yards here tonight and a pair of touchdowns. The man of the match so far. And Rice not far behind him, inside the 15.
Again with that patience. If so many running backs could watch, I think it's instinctive. I don't know if you can teach this. Some guys just have that feel to be able to go up there and wait for it to happen and then have confidence enough that your burst will take you and find that hole. Rice, look at him. Look at the size of his legs, his butt, if you can say that. Yeah, it's Cable. I can say that now. And those calves. I mean, that's a well-built running back.
Second down, he's a running back in the future, isn't he, Gary?
Sure is. The present, too, it looks like. Right?
Yeah, truthful.
He had 217 yards against UConn.
They lined Leonard up back at the running back spot. They let him take over, and he's got nothing but daylight. Inside the 5-yard line, Brian Leonard. So they give up 3. And they're coming back looking for 7 for Schiano. And the Rutgers fans are loving every minute of it here in the desert.
Well, this Arizona State, Dirk didn't have the flu, but he's about ready to throw up if he watches one more of these drives like this, you know. Can you blame him?
No.
He's just shaking his head. He knows that if you can't stop the run, you can't stop an offense.
First and goal. Leonard, second effort. Touchdown, Rutgers. He got it. This is going to be a long night for the Sun Devils if they don't show some toughness on defense.
You watch it, a big fullback who's got a burst just runs right through Jamar Williams' tackle, gets in the end zone, forward body lean, runs through another one, and then Dale Robinson finishes him off, but not before 6 points go on the board.
There are a lot of people rethinking their opinion that USC might blow Texas away. You pay attention to what conferences do in bowl games, folks. Tacks on the extra point. The underdog is in full flight in Phoenix.
In the nation and in the world, Rutgers is making a difference.
University research speeds wireless communication and detects links between diet and cancer.
The history of a uniquely American musical genre is preserved, and professors expand our understanding of culture and society.
From the discovery of ancient stone tools to promising advances in the treatment of spinal cord injuries.
Learn and discover at Rutgers, New Jersey State University.
Rutgers 24, Arizona State 10. First half of the Inside Bowl. And of course, a little bit later, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl next Monday. And that will be down in Tempe, the home field for Arizona State. This will be the last year that the Inside Bowl is here. It will move down to Tempe next year. And the Fiesta Bowl and the National Championship game will be played in the Cardinals' new stadium. And it is gorgeous out in Glendale, nearby, a suburb. So the Arizona Cardinals have closed out their NFL stay down in Tempe. They'll move to their brand new stadium, and the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl will follow them. Taking it knee, letting it go through the end zone, and let's check in with Reese. What do you got for halftime, Reese?
Brent, got Lou and Mark alongside as always. We'll have the yin and yang of Tigers, some happy Tigers and other Cats who have reasons to be unhappy. Also some concerns for the Longhorns.
And at halftime, we'll discuss the difference between being good and being great.
What about James Davis, that freshman running back from Clemson? Hey, Brent, is it true to the rumor that Tony Soprano told Greg Schiano that losing is not an option?
Apparently so.
Yes, Mark, I think that was the message that he delivered with his pregame talk down here.
Let's hope that's all. Let's hope that's all he did. He didn't have anything else, did he?
First down and 10 for the Sun Devils here. And Carpenter under fire, drops it off to the safety valve Burgess. Reaches out to the 30-yard line in the 1st and 10, and so Thursday now, ESPN offering up a couple more bowl games. What a week it's been. 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Georgia Tech and Utah, the Emerald Bowl. And then after that, one a lot of folks are looking forward to, the Pacific Life Holiday Bowl. Oregon and Oklahoma coming to you from San Diego. High, juggled, incomplete. Hagan just couldn't hang on at midfield.
He would have caught that, I think, if Courtney Green had not come in and cleaned that play up at the end of it. Hagan's just his way he can control his body. You can see why he has just dominated the Pac-10 3 straight years. Now watch this. The ball covered well, goes up. He's going to catch. Oh, look at that. Right off the helmet of Green. That's a great effort by Hagan, and Green with a real smart play to clean it up.
What do we got on the clock here, Gary? About 2 down to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Huh? Second down and 10. Sun Devils would love to get something before the intermission. That's another first down. That'll stop the clock at the 45-yard line. Matt Miller.
Better put some pressure on Rudy Carpenter, because if you don't, he's got ability to just zip that ball. He's very, very accurate, and you can see the only way he's really been stopped is with pressure. Let's see if Rutgers brings pressure yet.
And that was incomplete.
There's a penalty flag right in the middle by the umpire that time. Thrown right at the center guard area.
You know, Rudy Carpenter, you asked the quarterback about being behind, Gary, and here's what he had to say to you.
I think guys got to believe. That's you know, one of my main things. You know, a lot of times we get to a point where we fell behind, and we start questioning ourselves. Oh, can we do it, or can we come back? And instead of, you know, yeah, we're going to come back. We're going to win this game.
Well, there it is, a tough young man, tough-minded.
He is. He's really, when you talk to him, a very deep thinker. Wasn't expected to play this year. I mean, this guy, it was Sam Keller's year this year, and Rudy prepared himself just in case, and then broke out first game. He throws for 400 yards against Washington.
Penalty has made it 1st and 20 for Carpenter and Arizona State. Sets the screen, and running away from the blockers, Burgess. Tough run to the 40-yard line, and a first down for Arizona State. Clock stops.
Well, you got to know that Rudy Burgess, in those long situations, he did it to Purdue last year when they knocked off Purdue with screen passes. Burgess gets the ball in those long situations. Rutgers and Greg Schiano was matched up man-to-man. He ran right through the tackle.
You know, an insider from Arizona State had told me before the game that they thought they'd recovered from the flu, but he was very, very concerned about the staying power when you think ahead of the second half. And they're coming back now with Burgess finding daylight. Another first down at the 25-yard line. So if the flu did take its toll on this team, it could slow them up in the second half. We'll be looking forward to seeing that unfold, because Rutgers is going to have a lead. It appears obvious at the intermission, even if Arizona State could score.
It is, but this is a huge drive for Arizona State, don't you think? If they could put 7 points on right here before halftime, I think this is huge going into the locker room for them.
All right, let's see if they can get it. Off to the left, Terry Richardson.
Yeah, Rutgers going to take a timeout. Greg says this doesn't look right. Rutgers
wants to talk about wanting to slow him up a little bit, give his team a rest. He works hard with his defensive backs, doesn't he, on how to turn.
He says he loves it too, doesn't he? Yeah. He says the one thing I really love is being a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, well, Carpenter with his hands full here, Jack.
Yeah, and Brent, Gary was talking about how Carpenter decided to change his mechanics tonight. One of the reasons that came about, he was explaining it to us, that unlike many of his teammates, he did not go home for Christmas. He stayed, he grabbed 3 tapes of what he thought were his last 3 games, and he studied them inside and out. Before the game, when he was talking to you, Gary, I also asked him what he learned from those tapes, and he said exactly what he told you about the mechanics. One thing Dirk Cutter has said about this kid, Rudy Carpenter, is he loves the game, he studies it, he dissects it, and he says he's only going to continue to get better.
All right, Jack, and of course, we showed you Ohio State arriving here yesterday, and then earlier today, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. They were in the Inside Bowl a year ago, but they're coming back for a major appearance in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. And Gary, what about this comeback against Stanford?
It was everything on the line. I thought this was the most impressive thing I've seen all year, because when you get there, the way Stanford came down and marched down, Brady Quinn takes them down on that, and it was clinic. It was Tom Brady clinical. That's what Brady Quinn did on that last drive.
Going to be great, isn't it?
It is. Going to be a
Irish
great
and the
football
Buckeyes.
game.
This, of course, is where Ohio State won its national championship. Dramatic overtime victory over Miami. Play fake. Carpenter got an open man. Got him at the 2-yard line, and that is Terry Richardson. 24 more yards, Gary.
Watch Ryan Neal gets right in Rudy Carpenter's face. He's going to come from right there. Watch him get inside, just like before. Get inside Chaz White, and Rudy Carpenter sees him, but he knows he can get rid of it. He gets rid of it just in time and puts it to the outside. Wide open is Richardson.
So the Rutgers secondary under fire here. The toss to Burgess. Slams toward the end zone and didn't make it. They want to get 7 points here for the intermission.
Little toss play. Brent Miller is the motion man that time. Oh, that was close. That was very, very close.
Though, was it? The ball, I don't know if the ball broke the plane when he was down.
You're right, but I don't think Arizona State really cares all that much if they score, because they took another 40 seconds off the clock.
True. Good point. Good point. Carpenter up under center, and Burgess right behind him. He's going to throw for it. There's a penalty flag, and it's deflected. Coming in was Green, the safety that time, but there is a penalty flag. Somebody might have been offside. Let me see. It was the head linesman who came over.
Offside, number 26 on the defense. Half the distance to the goal. Repeat second down.
You said 26. He's 36. I'm sure it was Green.
Yeah, it was the Green who came in on that play. Gary, why not just have Carpenter go right straight ahead?
I thought, well, Carpenter is not the biggest guy, but I'm surprised he didn't run the ball. I have to say that. You can see it. They're going to try to get Miller out to the outside like he was open last time, and Green was probably the guy that lined up in the neutral zone.
Carpenter's thrown for a couple hundred yards. Hart for 222 yards and those 2 touchdowns. They're going to throw again. They come up firing for the touchdown. They just don't stop. Zach Miller. He was last year's Pac-10 Freshman of the Year, only a sophomore and one of the most talented tight ends in the country. When you look down the road, Zach Miller has a great future with the Sun Devils, and Shiano can't believe, I don't think, how wide open he was.
Well, you almost got to sell out to the run when you're down there that close on second down, and Dirk goes with what he's comfortable with, and that's throwing the ball.
39 seconds. Well, you want to call Greasy Tony's and order up some halftime?
Let's do it.
Ainsworth tacks on the extra point. We're back to 7 now.
Remember, he tried to go in the flat last time, and it got knocked down. There's Miller right there. That's a standard play. It's a goal line play 101, and there it is. Perfect read, and this time Rudy puts it right to the big. And you know what? You know what Miller's nickname is, Brent?
No.
The Truth. Now, let me tell you how he got the name. He was so highly recruited that when he came on campus, all the defensive players wanted to see him. And as a freshman, he started making plays, and everybody said, you know, it's the truth. That's how he's good. He's the truth.
You know, they have great tight ends come out of the school, don't they?
Todd Heap, I guess, right?
Yeah. You think about that. Great legacy here at that position. And Gary, you were just ahead of the curve. you and I 5 years ago, you started saying right away, you've got to have tight ends. You've got to have tight ends at the college level and certainly in the NFL. And we've seen some great ones up there.
And you know why I think it is? It's because of the intricacies of the defense. They've spent so much time trying to fool the quarterback on the outside perimeter to take away those skill guys that there's openings in the middle of the field, and those great tight ends are making plays.
Well, the final 39 seconds here of what has been a very entertaining, high-scoring first half. I think the experts, I think, thought we'd get in the 50s in this game, and we're going to soar right past that, the way things are going.
Luckily, there's only 39 seconds for Arizona State, because the good news is we scored. The bad news is we got to put our defense back out there.
Ainsworth drilled that last kickoff. Young man with a strong leg. Take a knee, and it'll come out on the 20-yard line. So we'll see what Rutgers can come up with. Hart is 13 of 17 for 222 yards. Moses has been his favorite target, 63 yards with 4 receptions. I remember Sean Tucker, the junior, has that deep speed. He is from Parkland, Florida. That's down in Broward County. He played at Douglas High School.
Yeah.
He's a burner.
He is.
And it looks like they're going to take the lead on in.
This is smart. This is smart. You don't want to make a mistake. Go in with the lead. You have no timeouts left. 39 seconds. Go in at halftime. Let's play a second half. Can't make a mistake and ruin a good first half of football. Your chance of going 80 yards in 39 seconds is almost zero.
So Shiano content to let the seconds tick away here. Up by 7, 41 points in our first half. Dirk Cutter's been trying to dig out from behind or tied all night long. And there's the fullback, Leonard, had a fabulous game. And let's check in with Jack and Coach Cutter.
Coach, how would you grade your team's performance in this first half?
Not great, Jack. We're getting our butt kicked right now up front. We can't stop them. So we got to get it straightened out here at halftime.
What sort of message will you give your kids?
Well, we better wake up. We better wake up fast.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
A very honest coach. That's what you've been
obvious.
saying. The Scarlet Knights, their first bowl in 27 years. And right now, we send you to Reese and the gang back in Bristol.
All right, Brent, glad to have you along on the Dodge Halftime Report. Lou and Mark alongside. As always, we'll talk some college football with these guys in a little bit. Good, impressive first half for Rutgers against Arizona State, 24-17 at the break. Funeral services for James Dungy were held in Florida today. The 18-year-old son of Tony Dungy was laid to rest after he died last week of an apparent suicide. An estimated 2,000 people came to Florida to pay their respects to the Dungy family and say goodbye to James. The Colts team, along with dozens of NFL stars past and present, attended the 2-hour service. Dungy is relying on his faith during a difficult time.
We loved our son very much. He loved us, and we miss him terribly. But we also understand that we have some tremendous promises from God, and God promises to be with us, and He's with us in the great times. He's with us in the tough times, and our family will stand strong. The strength that we have in the Lord will allow us to get through this just as we get through times of victory. Our grief is great, but from our family, we just say thank you. Say thank you to everyone. We appreciate everybody that's touched his life, everybody that's been part of him growing up. And James was a good young man with a compassionate heart, and we were glad to have him for 18 years.
Dungy encouraged parents to hug their kids every time they could because you never know when it'll be the last opportunity. Tony Dungy left the Colts after news of his son's death. It has not yet been determined, or at least not been revealed, when he will return to the team. Still to come here on the Dodge Halftime Report, we'll turn our attention to college football. And game earlier tonight, the Happy Tigers of Clemson running roughshod over the Fighting Ralphies of Colorado, and some sad Tigers from Baton Rouge who are going to go to the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl without their leader.
This halftime report is brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge.
Ohio State Notre Dame, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, Monday on ABC.
Welcome back to the Dodge Halftime Report.
It's been a trend for almost all of bowl week. A lot of offense, defense optional. Rutgers 24-17 at the half over Arizona State. But there was one game in which defense was played aplenty. The Champ Sports Bowl earlier tonight, Clemson and Colorado. Charlie Whitehurst in the first quarter to Curtis Bayham, who going to pick up about 25 yards, led to a Clemson field goal. Tigers led at 6-3 at the half. Here's Whitehurst, the senior, trying to make good in his final game. He does it with his feet, Luke.
Well, he does this. He's a very fine competitor, 4-year starter for Clemson.
Clemson seemingly had the game in hand, 13-3, but Colorado changed quarterbacks. Brian White to Quinn Sipniewski, who I believe started his Colorado career as a teammate of Byron Whizzer White. They're like 12 years, 6 actually, just seems longer. Clemson driving out 3rd and 2 from the 40, and this was a senior drive, Mayday, as Clemson marched down the field.
A wonderful job by the offensive line of giving Charlie Whitehurst protection. But look at him fighting for extra yardage down here to ice the game for Clemson.
Luke, why do you let him get away with that? He picked on you earlier about talking about Notre Dame. He always talks about the offensive line. Who opened a hole for James Davis, the freshman back here. Davis, the MVP of the Champ Sports Bowl. Clemson wins it 19-10. Missed what was some meaningless extra point at the end to keep it from being a doubled-up score, 19-10. The final there is Clemson gets another victory, and now Colorado moves on after Gary Barnett's dismissal. Mike Hankwitz was the interim coach for this game, but Dan Hawkins takes over now. And he's got a major job in front of him, Lou.
He does. I think you have to look at some positives. Number one, that they have to have a pretty solid foundation because they were 7-2 at one time. On the negative side, they lost their last 4 football games, and most of them very, very convincingly. One of the biggest problems you have when you take over a losing situation, I did it 6 different times, is everybody said, well, this guy should have been the coach, he should have been the coach, players are talking. I'd walk in, I'd say to him, man, I know you didn't choose me. You would have never chose me because I'm tough and there are going to be a lot of changes made. But I want you to understand this, though. I chose you. I came here because I believe you can be special. I believe this place can be special.
And I think for Clemson, the future looks bright for Tommy Bowden. I think when you look at their season this year, they ended up on a high note at 8-4 this season. They took 2 games into overtime. They lost 2 other games by a total of 5 points. But you've got James Davis coming back. Yes, you're losing Charlie Whitehurst, but James Davis tonight had 150 yards on the ground rushing. He's a true freshman, 210 pounds, can catch the ball in the backfield, can do everything you want at the running back position. But you look at the defense of Clemson. They held Colorado to a total of 124 yards. James Davis had more yards than the entire Buff offense.
Yeah, they play fast. They play with attitude, and replacing Charlie Whitehurst. Now, it's going to be tough because he has been a fixture for Clemson, but Will Proctor has played very well in his stead. When Charlie was hurt at some point during the season, he is expected to step into that starting role. So needing to step into a starting role for another batch of Tigers. These are the sad Tigers. You know, the happy Tigers are Clemson that won the bowl game. Sad Tigers, LSU, and very sad because Jamarcus Russell, an emerging quarterback, hurt his shoulder in the SEC championship game against Georgia, will not go in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl as LSU takes on Miami. Matt Flynn's going to start there. We continue here at the halftime of the Inside Bowl. We'll turn our attention to the national championship game and just how do you get a hold on Reggie Bush? These guys will open.
This is the Dodge Halftime Report.
This time to Bush for the first time. Bush pops it. Bush is gone. Midfield not going to get him. Exactly what the Razorbacks didn't want. Exactly what the Trojans did. Minard straight back again. Has time, throws wide open. Jarrett, touchdown Trojans. That is much too easy.
Part of the 70 points that USC put on Arkansas early in the season. Now the Trojans will face off against Texas on January 4th on ABC for the national championship. You know, I get my tackling primer from Chris Spielman. See what you hit, close the gate in front of the ball, 1-step wrap, 2-step squeeze, bring your feet. Does that work on Reggie Bush? It will if you can get a hold of him, but that's the problem.
Well, there's an easy way to stop Reggie Bush. You cheat. You put 13 men on the field, but no, that's not going to work. What you do with Reggie Bush is you tell your defense, look, you can't get penetration upfield because if you get penetration upfield, he's going to find a crease and he's going to burn you in the middle of the field. What you want to do is plug every gap, try to string everything out, and make him go laterally sideways where somebody can come up and make the tackle. Now, easier said than done because Reggie Bush, with moves like this, you can't stop him. It won't take one guy. It'll take 3 or 4 guys. You're going to have to gang tackle him. Somebody's going to have to grab a hold of a shirt, an ankle, a leg, but it still won't be enough because if you put 8 or 9 men in the box, they're going to throw the football. You can't stop Reggie Bush. That's why he won the Heisman Trophy. That's why he is the best player in the nation, and he will be the first pick in the NFL draft come April.
All right, if they do load up to stop Reggie Bush, though, what does Texas need to do to try to throw Matt Leinart off rhythm?
I think Texas can throw Matt Leinart off. I think the main thing that you have to do is you have to take away his first look. And Texas has defensive secondary that can do that. If you look against Ohio State, Ginn and Santonio Holmes had great speed. They held them to a total 83 yards together. Now what they have to do is get up on them, play the receivers close, take away the first look. I think they have the speed to be able to do that, force Leinart to have to shuffle his feet. Now if they split Reggie Bush out, you better double cover him. He's a different breed.
But then there's Dominic Byrd, Dwayne Jarrett, Lendale White. Does he have 1,000 yards rushing?
1,100 to be precise, nearly 1,200.
You know, Mark, you're brilliant, and I have so much.
Yeah, but you're a coach. How do you stop this offense? Tell me how you stop the USC offense, because no one has.
I go coach the Texas football team because I tell you, the more you talk about and look at this thing, Texas has an excellent chance. And we're going to be here, and we'll talk about it.
So you think Texas is going to beat them? Is that what you're saying?
I'm getting to that mode. Yes, I am. I don't make rash. Let me tell you, I've been married 45 years because I don't make rash decisions. I sit there and I evaluate everything from top to bottom. Now, I may not be married 46, but I'm married 45.
That's up to Miss Holtz. It's up to you.
Right.
You're going to say yes. She's sort of dicey on that sometimes, right? You'll be able to see the Rose Bowl January 4th. Stunning high definition on ABC. The Longhorns and the Trojans. Vince Young, Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, all the pomp and circumstance and the pageantry in the Rose Bowl for the national championship. Available on ABC high definition. Also, you can hear it on ESPN Radio as the Trojans go for, in the Poll era, an unprecedented three-peat. Rutgers, first bowl game since 1978. Brian Leonard trying to send them home a winner against the Sun Devils. Halftime report, Inside Bowl at the break. Rutgers with a 7-point lead on Arizona State. Great basketball game tonight between Gonzaga and Memphis, two teams with Final Four material. Adam Morrison, the country's leading scorer. Morrison, this guy, he's got that cheesy little mustache, but he's got a little grit to him. He'll get testy with you, and they seem to spark him with that. Morrison, the tough three, he finished with 34, but he didn't score in the last 9.5 minutes of the game. Chris Douglas-Roberts draining the three for Calipari's team. He got it from Darius Washington, who had 10 assists and 22 points. There's 2 of the 22 there. Memphis, 83-72 over Gonzaga, pulled away late. Jeff Reardon, 6th all-time on the career saves list, arrested, charged with armed robbery. He is charged with robbing a jewelry store, and he is blamed not taking his medication for depression as the reason he did this. Reardon, 50 years old, arrested on an armed robbery charge. All right, guys, our game now, right now, Arizona State and Rutgers, 24-17. Sun Devils getting back into it a little bit late, Lou, but this was a game where it appeared as if the defense, particularly for the Sun Devils, conscientious objectors pretty much for most of the first half.
Their tackling reminded me of Venus de Milo, no arms. But I'll say this. Arizona State's a good team. The only thing keeps them from being a great team is they aren't real good on defense. You find any great team, they're good on both sides of the ball. And it's a lot easier said than it is done. And here's the problem. You're so good on offense, everybody's talking about how good we are on offense or winning the game. And the defense sort of plays like, well, we're not supposed to be very good. The offense scored 50 points anyway, so we win at 50-42. That's what I find is lacking at Arizona State.
You could see that during the early years sometimes at Florida when Steve Spurrier was there before Bob Stoops got there and sort of rejuvenated the Florida defense.
Yeah, but if you look at Rutgers, I said it at the beginning of the show, Brian Leonard is the key to this football team. He has 3 receptions for 81 yards and a touchdown, 5 rushing attempts for 34 yards and a touchdown. Message to Greg Schiano, Brian Leonard averages 14 yards per touch in this game. Get him the ball more often in the second half, and you will win.
every time he gets a first down if he keeps that average up.
Give him the ball.
That's the way it looked on the first drive. They were going to get a first down on every play.
He broke 3 tackles on that touchdown run and just ran over guys.
You sound like Jeff Rutgers. You didn't take your medicine.
No, easy. Hey, let me try to bail you out of that. The Bowl Challenge Cup presented by Cooper Tires. See, that's what a good host does. Right there, quarterback changes the play right before the play clock expires. Bowl Challenge Cup presented by Cooper Tires. Here are the standings. Big 12, Pac-10, WAC 1-0 so far. Here's how this works. You have to have 3 teams from your conference in a bowl game. Among those conferences with at least 3 teams participating, team with the best, or the conference I should say, with the best winning percentage will take home the Bowl Challenge Cup. Still very early. Pac-10 1-0. Pac-10 favoring the rest of their games, but Pac-10 down right now. Check out Mark Malone. The last time these two teams met in the Garden State, let Mark Malone throw the touchdown pass, and Rutgers going to the trickeration. Oh, but it didn't work. We'll see if the Sun Devils can finish strong in the second half of this one, too.
This halftime report is brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns.